Okay, here's your jumpers run from Saturday. That was such a hard ending on that course. Okay. So jump 2 required a pretty good wrap. And to get a good wrap, you had to give her some good turning cues. So here she is lifting off, and you're not indicating a turning cue at all, except that you're slowing down and almost stopped. But you don't have your outside arm up, you don't have your shoulders turned into her, maybe a little tiny bit, but not very much. And here now you're turning into her, but she's already over the bar, so she can't do anything about where she lands. So she lands pretty long, which is okay, but you can see how hard she landed. And now she's got to really fight to make that turn. So if you would have looked like this when she was here, you would have gotten a lot nicer turn. So get her in and get going. Now this part was fine, actually. I thought it was interesting that you wrapped her this way, but there's nothing wrong with it, and you're cueing it pretty nice, and she knows that it's there. She knows that it's coming and that she's expected to turn, and that's fine. I think for a big dog like that with a big stride and long body, it would have been easier to slice the jump this way and go this way, but there's nothing wrong with the way that you did it. The other thing is that, and I'm sure you thought about all this, but when she wraps this way, it's going to sort of force her to take the next jump this way and then have to go back like that. Whereas if she takes the jump this way, then she can take this jump a little bit easier that way. So it's a little bit easier, I think, for a bigger dog to wrap it the other way, but it's not right or wrong. It's probably a longer path. Well, maybe, but anyway, I'm not sure if you considered all that or not. So here you don't get a very nice turn on this jump right here, which actually is what causes that you miss the next jump. Oops, let me back up. So when you do this wrap, no matter which way you wrap this jump, right now you should be taking off to get up to that next jump. Okay, but you're still kind of waiting. You still haven't taken a step forward. Waiting. Now you start to go, but she's even with you. And because she's even with you, it forces you to do this big send out there. Well, because you're doing this big send, you're not going to get a really nice turn on that jump. And also here she is lifting and you haven't started moving this way. So she's already taking off and she doesn't know that she needs to turn to the left. So if you had, when she's here over the bar just taken off, you could have gotten all the way up to this jump almost by the time she was coming. And then you could have been closer to it, and then as she was coming, you could have done a nice lateral send. It would have given you a tighter turn so that she wouldn't have been so wide and gone around this next jump. See how she jumps totally straight this way over that jump. And then she has to make a hard turn. And she just went so wide that she went wide enough over the one before where you are now that it almost made this jump where you are now into like a mild serpentine situation. And because you were still just moving this way, and she was wide of this jump, but you were still moving, you didn't have your outside arm up to call her into it or anything, and then she just went around it, if that makes sense. So let's just watch that little sequence again, now that I talked it to death. See how it's almost like a serpentine, kind of? I mean, it's not, but because of the way she was approaching it. Now here, I would have thought she would have given you a nicer turn there because you guys were kind of starting from a standstill. And you're already cutting over to her. But I guess you do cross, well, that's what happens. So you're crossing behind her. See how she's already in the air? And now you're starting to move that way. So she can't do anything about how she lands. So she lands long and straight after that jump. Okay, you got a pretty nice turn there. That's amazing that you got that jump. Now, I don't care what you do, but I'm going to point something out to you. You're crossing a jump behind where the turn is happening, right? And I think that is okay. Well, I don't like it because if I were to cross there, I would expect my dog to come to this jump. I wouldn't expect my dog to go all the way out to here. But if you want to handle with that kind of distance, I'm not gonna, that's fine. But you're gonna really need to think about how you're gonna make this cross when you want the dog to come out here look different from a cross in the exact same situation when you want the dog to come here. Do you know what I mean? Because this is one of those, this is like an inconsistency thing that happens, and then people wonder why their dogs don't read this cue or read that cue, and it's because, well, sometimes you cross there and you want them to go to the next jump away, and sometimes you don't. So I would think a little bit about if you want to start handling with that much distance, then you're going to have to think about some sort of rules that you're going to follow. Also, when you are so far away over here, you're never going to get a nice turn here. It's just, the best way to get a really nice turn, like the ultimate really tight turn, where are you? You're always right at the jump. You're giving a lot of cues, a lot of turning cues. You don't have a lot of motion, et cetera, right? So the farther you are away from a jump, the less likely that you're going to get a really nice turn. And also in this case, you send her out, but then because of where the course goes, you just kind of keep traveling this way, which actually, you are kind of coming this way, but it allows her, she also just sort of keeps coming this way. And so then you miss that next jump. Because you're still generally traveling like towards the camera and not really cueing a nice turn from this jump to this jump. And so then again, you get sort of stuck almost in this like mild serpentine situation because you need her to come into you and converge with you over this jump. So this ending was hard. And that's just awkward, that whole ending, the angle of those jumps and everything was hard. Yay, Gemma.